I want to talk to you about the next leap in human consciousness. And I'm also going to talk about how to build any identity that you want. But before we begin, is it possible that this might be really profound for you? Is it possible? Yeah? I mean, this might be it. And I want you to open to that possibility that there are certain times in your life that are huge game changers, okay? So sometimes, minimally, are at least a little bit more valuable than other times, correct? Right? Like wasting time watching TV, not as awesome as getting a brand new business idea, right? So some time is more valuable than other times. So let's set some intentions for this time, okay? First off, I want you to bring your full attention. Attention is the current most important currency that we have, all right? If you can master where your attention is, you're a pretty powerful person, right? So if somebody's invested in themselves, they've come to this and they decide to show up to something like this, bring your attention. Don't tweet, don't mess around, don't be like scattered, right? Who's that person who's on Amazon, then on Facebook, then here, and then the whole day goes by and nothing really happened, right? So bring your focus, bring your full attention to this. And my request of you is that can we actually kind of take a breath in together and really invite a sacred space into this, right? There's a long history of people sharing ideas. When we come together and share ideas, that's how we get better, right? That's how I learn from you guys. That's how you get to learn from speakers and people like that. So let's make this time really sacred. I always love to remind people to relax. You are amazing at getting the transmission, right? You're phenomenal at receiving information. You don't have to work hard. You don't have to scribble notes. Don't try to capture this. It's being recorded. Just relax and get the transmission and know that it's my responsibility to share this stuff with you. So you can just sit back, have a good time, and experience this, all right? So let's get started into the ideas. As human beings, we're wrong a lot. We've been extremely wrong most of the time, honestly. If you think about that, we feel like we're kind of at the cutting edge and we've got it all figured out and science knows all this stuff, but you know, a couple hundred years ago, our medicine was ridiculous to us now. And we know that we're kind of in the middle of the evolution, right? And so not that long ago, we thought the world was flat. And we really believed that. And I was going to put in a picture of that, and I looked it up, and it was like this floating island, right? The representation of that, and water was pouring off the side. It seemed ridiculous, but there was a time that humans thought that the world was flat, right? We really believed that. We also thought for a long time that the sun and the stars orbited around us. Makes sense, like almost feels like that. We see the sun do this, but we learn later that's not true at all. And we grow from these new understandings, okay? So truths that we've known to be right and lived into for long periods of time, we find out are very wrong often. So we're presently living in a horrible delusion. We're presently living in a horrible delusion. And there's a profound new discovery that's at least as important as learning that the world is not flat. It's at least that important. Okay, so what I'm hoping to do with you guys in this talk is, number one, I'm going to give you an experience of a much smaller self and then a wider self to really get into what's possible for you guys as who you really are. Because I'm going to suggest that you don't even really know who you really are, okay? Two, I'm going to explain the engine that's very, very clear, that's underneath in all of us, that's creating all our limits. Okay, this is the engine that, it's kind of the mechanism in our current state of consciousness that creates all our self-doubt, creates all our limiting beliefs, creates all that stuff. And then I'm going to show you that this is our largest delusion personally, right? This is the thing that holds us back personally, but it's also our biggest problem on our planet as well. So lastly, I'm going to explain the fundamental shift in consciousness that fixes this, okay? So this is literally the next leap in human consciousness. It's really that profound, and it's actually simple to do. So my promise is that you're going to get at least one really, really valuable idea today, okay? Maybe more than that, Let's hope maybe more than that. But definitely one really profound idea that's valuable for you. And I'm going to give you a challenge that within the next 18 minutes of the talk or so, I'm going to deeply mess with your sense of personal identity. All right? So are you guys up for that? Are you in? That sound good? Awesome. First off, I love you guys. Can I just say that? This is the coolest tribe. Thank you so much. You guys are amazing. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for doing this. It's really incredible. And thank the foundation. You guys are just awesome. All right. So why is it that we don't do what we know is good for us? Can anybody kind of get into that, right? Human beings are actually the only animals to consciously choose against their own self-interest, right? We do it all the time. Let's think about it, right? Less sugar. We all know we shouldn't eat as much sugar. I mean, I personally know I should not eat as much sugar as I eat, right? Drugs and alcohol, we know that stuff is bad for us, and many of us just get really lost in that. Watching TV, internet, surfing, all that stuff, we know, right? You guys invest in programs like this, you know things you're supposed to do, and you end up doing these things instead against your own self-interest. Things we know we should do that we choose not to do. We know we should work out more. We know we should be more in our bodies, right? Day after day after day, kind of doesn't happen. We keep thinking we're going to at some point, right? Saving and tax prep, right? Who should have more savings habits in their life? Who should be a little more ready for accountant time, right? And we're like always behind on that. All right, and then things like making sales calls. You guys learn new skills in a program like this, and you know you got to do your IE calls. You know you got to do that stuff, and you don't show up to do them. You skip them day after day, right? So we actually avoid doing the things that we know are really good for us. Here's the deal, guys. You know what to do. You guys know what to do. There's programs like this teaching you what to do. There's Google answering every question you've got. And maybe in the moment there's things to learn, and it's really important that there are programs like this. It's really important to be able to get more information. But that's not really the problem, right? Getting the information is not the difficult part. How do we become the person that does the things that we know we should do? Isn't that really the valuable part, right? We got to know what to do, but you can look that stuff up. You can sign up for things like this. You can do that, right? But it's about us becoming the person that we need to be so that we show up for ourselves in a way that we are really doing the stuff that we know we should do, that really leads to our happiness long term, okay? So this change in ourself that we're looking for so that we can become the person that we know we could be or that we want to be, right? That's why we hire coaches. That's actually why we join programs like this, so that we can become the next version of ourselves, right? That's what change work is. That's why we hire coaches. That's why we do all this stuff, right? So this requires a real change in your identity. It requires a shift in who you think you are, your self-concept. It's an identity shift, all right? It's literally a growth in your identity. And that sounds weird. It's like, what do you mean? Am I becoming somebody different? No, it's you're taking on a new thing, and now you've got a new capability, and you're a new version of yourself because of that. You do this all the time. You just don't do it consciously, okay? So let's look at why we need willpower, right? Who would like to have a little bit more willpower? Really? Some hands are down. You don't want any more willpower? Okay, that's cool. We all want more willpower. Let's be honest about that, right? Well, what do we need willpower for? What is it? Imagine that year, and the odds are good that almost all of you have had the year where at New Year's, you had the resolution of losing weight, right? Where you were like, this is the year I'm going to go to the gym. This is the year I'm going to do that stuff, right? Most people don't make it. Habits are not an incredibly effective way of actually creating permanent change in our life, okay? Most people that go and show up and do these things, about a week in, what do? We're like, I'm not going to go, right? I'm not going to do it. So what is it about a habit that makes it work, okay? The people that actually do show up, and when willpower works out enough that you're not distracted enough to, be in too many places, when you can, really put it together so that it works out for you, once a habit works, what's happened that actually makes it kind of stick? Yeah, it becomes a part of you, doesn't it? Right? The subconscious accepts the new behavior, okay? So we need willpower, essentially, to do the things that are not us, right? It has to become who I am, okay? So it's the same for becoming an entrepreneur, right? We know we should do sales calls. We know we should learn to hire people. We know we should figure out outsourcing. We know we should do all this stuff, right? And it feels like an act of will because we actually don't feel like we're an entrepreneur yet. I guarantee any established entrepreneur who's really, really successful doesn't have those same level challenges anymore because in their self-concept, they're just like, I make sales calls. It's what I do, right? Of course, I hire out. If I don't like sales calls, I find somebody else to do it because it has to get done, right? Or else you're not an entrepreneur. Hate to tell you, right? Those things have to happen or you're just a wantrepreneur or you're just playing at it. You guys get that? Okay? So we need willpower for the things that aren't us yet. That's what willpower is about. It's like I'm trying to become something different. And when it sticks, think about going to the gym for the month or whatever. You just become the person that's like, yeah, I'm just a runner. It's what I do, right? Yeah, I work out. It's what I do every day. There's no resistance to it anymore. Yeah, I just make sales calls. It's what I do. That's an identity shift. Okay, you've become the next version of yourself, all right? So can we spend some time trying to find what you are? Because here's where I want to spend a little time kind of investigating ourselves. Are you guys open to closing your eyes for just a moment with me? Everybody close your eyes. Get centered and comfortable in your chairs. Take a deep breath in and let it out and feel yourself just relax down into your seat. If we hear any extra noises or whatever, that's all fine. I want you to imagine somebody coming up to you with a ruler and hitting you really hard on your left hand. Just imagine somebody walks up and they hit you on your left hand. They've hit you, right? They've hit you. You would go to court and say to the judge, I was assaulted, somebody hit me. So you are your hand in some sense. You are your hand. But now I want you to imagine just for a moment that through some industrial accident or something, you've lost your left hand. Imagine literally not having a left hand. Imagine the stub down there. And then notice that you're still there. You're not actually your left hand. Get into that experience of noticing, wow, I am something different than my hand. I'm not just my hand. I'm the thing that's aware that I have an arm. I'm the thing that's aware that I have feet. I'm the thing that when I'm standing in front of a mountain can see the mountain. Get in touch with that sense of self that's more inside. Maybe you sense it kind of in your head. And let me give you your hand back. Connect back again with your hand and get in touch with that sense of I'm over here and my hand is over there. There's actually distance between you and your hand. It's as if you have a hand, but you're not your hand. You have experiences. You have money, but you're not your money. You have friends, but you're not your friends. So this is you inside. And let's actually, you might say that to yourself, this is me. This is me in here. And while you connect with that version of yourself, I have another question for you. Who's talking when you say, this is me? Now, this might get a little weird, and if you don't follow it totally, that's okay, but stay with this for a second. The sense of this is me creates language of description and actually an objectification of this you. You're trying to see that you are actually the watcher, that you are actually consciousness itself, and as soon as we try to find it, we have to split off in a sense to describe it, to say, oh, that's me. So back up again, that one that's talking, saying that's me. Back up again from that to find that guy, to see who that is. And then go, oh, that's me, there I am. And then back up again, and say, no, 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 there I am, and then go, who's talking? And then back up again, and go, who's talking? And when you're really in touch with that, feel free to open your eyes and come back to the room for a second. You guys, you can't actually find yourself in that way because you are the watcher. You are the act of being conscious. Any sense of you that gets created is simply a construct. It's literally a creation. It's a, I'm going to plant my flag here and say that's me. It's not a standard thing. So was anybody able to get in touch with the sense of being the watcher? That that's different than being your body? Yeah? That there's an odd sense that when we try to catch that and see that there's this weird backing up effect. Did that land for you guys? Yeah? Fantastic. Okay. So you are consciousness itself. Let's be clear, right? You are this beautiful, conscious being that's constantly making up a sense of self. All right? Now so we basically couldn't find ourselves. We got really, really small there, and yourself is somewhere way, 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 way back, right? Well, us versus them is the next concept that I'd really like to share with you guys, okay? And by the way, this is one of the most powerful ideas of all time because we kill and we die for it all the time. Happens all the time, all right? So there's a natural progression of growth of the sense of us from when we're born to as we age, and we don't all progress as far along this line as others, okay? So this sense of who is us, all right? So when you were born, you actually didn't have any sense of self. When you were born, it's this nebulous blah, blah, blah. There's no me yet, right? There's just and instinct and please put food in my mouth and where's the boob, right? Like that's what's going on then, okay? So there's no sense of self yet. But pretty soon, self is born. And I don't know if you've spent any time with children. I've got this beautiful new child in my life, and there's a whole lot of self there. And there's not too much there's a whole lot of me, and everything else is other, right? Everything else is them, okay? But then after that, we start to identify with our family, don't we? We start to really go like, hey, my family is us, right? Don't mess. So if you mess with my brother, in some sense, you're messing with me, right? If I'm at school and I've got a brother, somebody punches him, it's like, they did what? Right? Like, you're kidding. And we come to the aid of our family because that's us. And them is some other thing, right? How dare you touch my family, right? So then we actually start to identify with our school, right? This sense of us starts to widen as we get older. And I'll share a story of going to a football game. I didn't really do the college thing. I ended up going to a college football game, and I'll make it up, 80,000 people in this college football game. And they've got, we are Penn State, we are Penn State, right? It's freaking me out. I'm going like, oh my God, the natives are restless. Like this is, if these were to rise up, we've got a real problem here. But there's this thing, right? So you get into this like, I'm my school, man, and you go to Nebraska, and Nebraska, blah, right? And we're Penn State, you're not. And that continues for many people into their work life. Oh, you're Penn State? All right, yeah, I'm Penn State too, yeah. Right? Hey, all right, I'm going to give you the job, buddy. That's you got it. Right? Okay? So, it goes into state level, right? If I'm traveling, I go to Europe, right? All of a sudden, I don't know anybody. All of a sudden, this guy's like, hey, I'm from PA. And I'm like, I'm from PA, yay! Pennsylvania, right? Like, hey, all right. This guy's a farmer. I'm from the city. We don't vote the same. We have nothing in common at all, but we're from Pennsylvania, right? Then we go out to nationalism. This is where it gets really scary because I'm an American and you're not. This is when our young people sign up to actually give their life. Right? They actually go die for the idea of a nation. Let's be clear, guys. Our nations are ideas. They're made-up constructs that we came up with a long time ago, and as we globalize, they're going to shift and change and, We're fighting these ideologies, but it's us against them. They don't believe what we believe. They don't like us. They're coming to get us. It's us against them. And this is very serious because we go train people to murder other people, right, based on this stuff. Incredibly powerful idea of us against them. Nationalism is about the average of where people get to in consciousness. And can you see that that's an evolution, right? We're growing, we're expanding our sense of who we are. You can sense that, right? But some never get past 2 square blocks, right? Some of us get really stunted. Under the right conditions, right? Bloods don't die, we multiply. My 2 blocks is me, man. My 2 blocks is me. You come in here, you're messing with us. Everyone out there, forget the nation, forget the state, anyone off of these 2 blocks is not us. You get that? You with me? Awesome. Some people evolve further, right? We have the capability to evolve further than this. What if we expanded us past our families, past our 2 blocks, past our schools and our states and our nations? What if we really open, and I'm going to invite you to do this now, what if we open to the idea that all countries were us? What if all countries were us? Right? They're all us. They're all humans. They're all struggling. They're all trying to get by. They're all doing their thing. What if all countries were us? Fastest way of doing this? If aliens landed. Right? Imagine it. We're doing all this fighting, us and them, and us, blah, blah, blah. Aliens land, and we go, holy shit. You'd see the world get together because we'd have a new them. Do you get that quality? We'd have a new them. It would be like, what are they? Right? And so us can shift in a moment with a new idea, can it? Can shift in a moment, this sense of us. This is called a world-centric view, right? So we're not egoic anymore, just me, like a little kid, or a really pain-in-the-ass adult. Egoic, right? We're not just nationalistic. We're world-centric at this point. What would that look like? What would that look like? Like here, wouldn't it? Yeah, really fantastic. Yeah. We unconsciously choose who they are. This is an unconscious process. Enlightenment is bringing light to, isn't it? It's bringing light to things that we're doing unconsciously, our biases, our short things, our, things like, inadvertent racism and whatever's going on that we're just kind of doing unconsciously, right? Part of this work is growing up so that we can become more conscious, so that we can be more masterful in the things that most matter in our life, right? So what if we opened even further? What would that look like? What about animals? What if it wasn't just all countries are us? What if all consciousness, right? Conscious beings were us. Right now we stack up chickens in coops and put, cows in. It's horrendous what we're doing to animals. And the only way that's possible is they don't feel like they're us. We don't care. They're food, right? They don't matter. We have no sense of really tapping into what if animals were us too. And I'm going to invite you guys to experience that in this moment. Doesn't mean we stop eating them, right? Doesn't mean we do, settle down, all right, vegans, relax, okay? But there might be a different way to do that, right? There might be a way to have, respect and dignity and care, care for conscious things, right? Open up to the fact that things that are conscious are us. But what if we went even further? What if as we walk, we realize that plants are us? What if we realize that the dirt, that all the atoms that make up everything, all the energy, that it's all us? Because we're just consciousness. What if we really get in touch that the very air that's blowing by us is us? Every other person, every other animal, every rock, everything is us. What if everything was us? What if we just decided that? It's a cool decision. What if everybody decided that? What would planet Earth look like if we all just decided everything was us? What if there was no them? Might call that universe-centric, right? So not egoic, not nationalist, not world-centric, universe-centric. Fuck it, we're going all the way out there, right? Why not? So, by the way, I don't know if any of you tapped into the feeling of that, right? How that just feels different when we think that way. That's a tangible expression of enlightenment. We desperately need to redefine enlightenment because it's a very tangible, real thing. To bring light, to understand more, to grow our consciousness, to understand this shit, and to get out of the dark ages and into the light. And when we open to that, we get more enlightened. It's a tangible expression of enlightenment. If you walked around every day with the mantra of, there is no them, it's all us, it's all me, you would feel very connected. It's a direct experience of oneness. There is no them. So, I did all of that to show you guys that we have this sense of being very, very tiny, right? Way back. I'm not even my hand, right? But then we can go all the way out and be huge. Like, I might be everything. And oddly enough, those things aren't really that far apart. But here's what happens. Your constructed self, your Tony and Mary and Steve and you, who you think you are, is a constructed self that lives somewhere in the middle of that, of infinitesimally small and everything. And you live in the middle of that. So, us that live in the middle of that, don't we want to be powerful enough to be free, happy, and successful? Don't we want to get free of our limits? Don't we want to be that person that can do all the stuff that we know we should do? Right? So let's get back to this world is flat level error. What's this error that we're doing here? I want you to imagine a couple of goldfish swimming along, and they're having a dandy day in this beautiful pond. It's rocking. They're feeling very, very saucy. Because they're sexy. Look at them, right? Good-looking fish. And what happens is this older, wiser fish that's a little bit different comes by and goes, hey, fellas, how's the water? What's going on? How you guys doing today? How's the water? And the two younger fish look at each other a little bit confused, and they go, what the fuck is water? What the fuck is this guy talking about? And I'm sure a few of you are like, what the fuck is this guy talking about? I don't get what's happening, right? So I don't know why their language is so bad. They've obviously had rough upbringings. But here's the deal. Fish don't see the water. Now, I've never been a fish, so everybody who says this is kind of full of shit, because maybe they're like, yeah, there's fucking water right here. I don't know. But go with me on this. Fish can't see water, right? Yeah. It's useful for the metaphor, so just go with it, right? But they're swimming in water and they can't see it. And why can't they see it? Why do we think that, right? They can't see it because there's no contrast. It's their everything, right? There's no place to say, well, that's water and that's not water, right? So it's just their universe. It's their whole way of being. It's their whole thing, all right? So there's something that we can't see as well. Meaning. We are swimming in meaning. Let that land for a second. What's this guy talking about? I don't know what he means. What's he mean? What's he mean? What's he mean? I'm lost right now. I don't get the meaning. What's he talking about? We're swimming in meaning. We're swimming in my boss looked at me funny, and that means he doesn't like me. She doesn't like me. I'm, scared of making a cold call, so that means that I'm not courageous. I see horrible things on the news. That means that the world isn't safe. I didn't close that sale. That means I'm bad at sales. At our current level of consciousness, just our current level, right, we're making up meaning constantly. This means this, that means that. Here's what's going on. Our ego is constantly searching for ground. We're trying to plant the flag in it. We're trying to get behind our own consciousness and go, there it is, I got it. There it is. And we do this unconsciously, right? We make up meaning not on purpose most of the time. And we do it really, really negatively. We say things to ourselves that we would never say to another person. We say, I'm so ugly, so fat. Nobody likes me. I will never be good at this. I'll never be successful. We do this quietly. Even if we don't believe it 100%, it's rattling around in there, those self-doubts. We make up meaning about ourselves, what we are, what's possible. The meaning that you create creates everything in your life. The meaning that you guys are making creates your level of self in that big spread. It creates what you think is possible for you. It creates your experience of happiness, creates your ability to connect. Meaning creates your very identity. I am this, right? I am Rob. Maybe we should learn to master our meaning. What do you guys think? Is that important? Yeah? So where do these meanings come from? Where do these meanings come from? What's like the engine underneath? They come from lenses. And if you look at that lens, it happens to be inverting what it's looking at. What's the main function of a lens? When I say a lens, I literally mean like my glasses, contact lenses. If you don't wear those, you might have looked through a telescope or a microscope. It changes what you see, right? It literally alters what you see. It might make it closer up. It might make it further away. It might make it blurry. It might make it clear. There are certainly good lenses. I'm wearing a couple of them right now. They help me get by, all right? But don't mistake it. The function of a lens is to alter what we see, okay? But there's another function of a lens that we don't think about very often, that we don't know, that's kind of in the background. Lenses are built to be invisible. They're built to be undetected themselves. They're built to be looked through because if I have raindrops on my glasses or scratches on my glasses, they don't function as a lens anymore. They don't work in the same way. So lenses are built to be invisible. Well, here's a big thing that I need you guys to get. Our thoughts and our beliefs are our lenses. Our thoughts and our beliefs are our lenses. And like good lenses, they are built to be invisible. They're built to not be seen. These lenses are the meaning, right? They alter the meaning of what we see. As we look at reality, they come in, it gets changed by our lenses, and our meaning changes because of them. You guys follow me on that? Yeah. Awesome. So let's imagine Republican versus Democrat. Can you see a Republican over here? Like the lenses that person's looking through, right? Absolute fact to them. It's true to them. Another person over here, hardcore Democrat, they're looking at their lenses, total fact to them. This guy's a lunatic. How could he possibly see the world that way? Aren't we looking at the same reality? Aren't we looking at the same things? No. We're looking through different lenses. Pro-choice versus pro-life. Imagine if you had like a best friend, right, for years, really, really close, and you found out years in that they felt differently about this issue than you did. It might not break up your friendship, but it would be like a what? Like, how do you feel that way about it? I'm so sure that this is the right one. How do you feel differently? And friendships have been broken up over, right? Romantic lives have been destroyed by discoveries like this. Omnivore versus vegan. These are different lenses. Christianity, Islam, and Judaism. Very different lenses that these people are looking through at reality, right? So as we stack these meanings on top of one another in our personal lives, as we stack them up, they make up our self-concept. They make up what's true for us. They make up who we think we are, whether we can be an entrepreneur or not, whether we're going to remain a wantrepreneur or not. They create our identity. And I don't know if you can see, but I don't know how clearly you're seeing through all those lenses. Right? It might get a little weird when you stack lens after lens after lens on top. But that's what makes up your identity, who you are. This is fundamentally delusional. This is fundamentally delusional. And we're all doing it. Just like a couple hundred years ago, we were drilling into people's heads to get rid of crazy, right? Fundamentally delusional. We just couldn't see it yet. And this delusion is our biggest problem personally and globally. It's our biggest problem. Globally, every punch that's ever been thrown, every bomb ever dropped, every mean word ever spoken was over a lens. Think about it. Every time we go to war, it's over lenses. Every time we punch some kid in school, it's over a lens. That's what we're fighting over, is our lenses. I'm a huge fan of Bill Gates. I think he's one of the brightest people, certainly of our generation. He's got more money than most countries, and not only, by himself, but he's talked other billionaires into this incredible endeavor of philanthropy, which is like deep bow to that. Like, how about, Bill Gates doing that? It's incredible, right? People are, right? It's amazing. So now let me rip on him. No, I'm just kidding. Kind of not kidding. So serious deep bow to Bill Gates. He's amazing and incredible. And this dedication to philanthropy, I was really interested in finding out, what does he most care about? What does he think that we should work on? And I'm not up currently on what his biggest things are. I haven't read the latest reports and all that. But at one point, he put out that it was mosquitoes and malaria. And I was like, mosquitoes and malaria. And part of his reason, by the way, is that that's a solvable problem. And so I love that. And it's amazing. And it is a big problem. But what it sort of sparked in me was, why is it not climate change? Why is it not, right? There's a strong lens over there. But why is it not climate change? Why isn't it sex trafficking? Why isn't it rape or homelessness? Or why isn't it, infrastructure? Why isn't it all these other things, all these other challenges that we have going on? Why isn't it that, right? Because the reality is that that's whack-a-mole. That's out there. The reality is that our leaders are delusional. They're looking through lenses and they don't even know it, right? The people that run our businesses have a lens of stockholders matter more than our earth. And so when they do big oil spills, it's not as important to them as the profit, right? Figuring it out, right? And that's because of a lens. So lenses create our entire reality. They're literally the meaning that we're swimming in, and they create our sense of reality. Personally, these delusions create our unconscious money limits. They set the amount that you think your company can be. They set what kind of house you think you deserve, right? You live into this idea of who you are and these meanings. This is our core delusion. This is our core delusion. And I need to be clear, this is an important slide. It's not that we have lenses. It's not that we want to get rid of lenses, although there are experiences that are lensless that are amazing. I'd like to introduce you to some of those. But it's that we don't see our lenses. I want to hear what your lenses are. I want to talk to the person that thinks that climate change is a big deal. I want to know that. But I'm not as interested in talking to somebody who's unaware that they're holding a lens, right? That they're looking at the world in a certain way. Okay? So it's not that we have lenses, but it's that we're unconscious that we have lenses. It's that we're looking through them and we think they're truth. That's really the problem. All right? So the mistake is treating the lens like truth. And this is our current world is flat. This is our current delusion that we are all looking through lenses, having it alter our reality. Those lenses, by the way, get picked up in our most embarrassing moments. They're almost all fear-based, right? They're these really, really small limiting things that do a great job of keeping us safe, but they don't do a great job at keeping us expressed and in our fullness. All right? This delusion is our current world is flat. And as we shift this, it's going to change everything. So there's a fundamental shift here that we need to learn. And this is so incredibly valuable for you guys if you take this on, and I'm going to show you that it's really, really simple to do. We need to move our awareness, instead of through our lenses, to actually back up the frame of awareness onto how we see. We actually have to back up. And we just backed up a little bit. We tried to find ourselves. We played with our own attention. Remember in the very beginning I said that our attention is kind of the new currency. It's the new important thing. Not only garnering the attention of other people, but managing of our own attention. We need to move our awareness back to see how we see, to investigate our own lenses. That's it. That's all we need to do. Because without this awareness, without seeing our lenses, seeing how we're altering reality in some way, we believe that our delusions are true. And by the way, when I say belief, I don't mean a belief that we feel like we're choosing, like, I'm a Christian or I'm a Buddhist or something that we're kind of taking on. I mean the assuredness of meaning of a belief, right? That's what belief means. It's an assuredness of meaning. My boss looked at me, and I know that meant that she doesn't like me. I'm assured of that meaning. That's a belief, right? And it creates my reality in that moment, okay? It seems like truth to us. I need you guys to stop believing your mind. It's lying to you. Your mind is lying to you guys all the time. The reality that you're making up is a fabrication. Your limits are smoke dragons. They're not made of anything. So are you guys interested in the 3 steps to shift? Yeah? Good. Step 1 is to look. All right? Step 1 is to decide to do the work of looking at how you see. And the best ways to do that is to begin listing out your negative beliefs, to begin writing down all the things that you don't like about yourself, things you don't like about the world, things that bother you, right? We need to actually do an investigation, because if we leave them unchecked, they feel like truth to us. So the first step is to look, back up that frame of awareness and say, how am I seeing? And look mostly for your limits. Look for the things that are like, I'll never make the money. I'll never be a powerful entrepreneur. I'll never whatever. Go through that process and just become aware. That's incredibly powerful because awareness by itself is curative. All right? Just knowing that that's how you're talking to yourself, instead of doing it blindly, changes the game for you. Step 2 is to challenge them. I asked you a moment ago, please don't believe your mind. When you start to edit your unconscious thinking, when you start to look at it and alter it, you can challenge your limits. And anybody who's been through the mindset thing, this is very similar to what we've done in there, okay? I need you guys to be working on this so that you can wake up out of your own delusions. It's really the game, all right? So step 1 is to find, what are my limits? What am I saying to myself that's holding me back? Step 2 is to challenge them. If it says, I'll never be a phenomenal entrepreneur, actually just write out next to that, what would be a more useful thought? I'm going to be a fantastic entrepreneur, or I'm going to grow a really healthy business, or I love becoming a business owner, okay? Step 3 is to replace, right? You've found these negatives, you've decided to alter them, now we got to put them in. I have a process called repatterning, right? Where you actually work to let your subconscious take in the truth of these new statements. Edit the way that you talk to yourself. It's literally as simple as that. It doesn't have to be a big, profound, hard thing. It just needs to be that you are challenging the unconscious lenses that you are looking through so that you can wake up. Really important bonus here, your emotions are going to be phenomenal at letting you know when you should challenge your thinking. Here's the reason, right? We don't see our lenses so well, but we feel our emotions really loudly, don't we? Your emotions don't start on their own. They're a reaction to the meaning that you're creating, right? So I get scared when my meaning-making machine goes, "You're in danger." I get sad when I feel like somebody's hurt my feelings with my meaning-making, okay? It comes after the perception of what's going on. We don't just randomly walk around and for no reason get scared. We have a reason. We have a meaning that gets created. So because we don't often see the lenses, we actually can wake up to that emotional feeling. So when you're anxious, start writing out why you're anxious. I'm anxious because so-and-so, blah, 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 or this isn't going to work out, or whatever. And then I suggest that you rewrite that and replace that in your mind in that moment, okay? So state management and happiness can actually be mastered. I don't have negative thoughts like that. And I don't care if you believe me. It's not really the point. But the work that's possible here, what we can actually evolve into, is somebody who actually can sit in a wide experience of emotions and a wide experience as a being without getting caught up in the illusion of, I'm not enough, this isn't going to work, people don't like me, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And the difference in that is profound. It is profound. Enlightenment is real, bringing more light to your consciousness, bringing more light to your limits, rewriting them yourself is absolutely possible for you if you take it on, if you would like to bring more attention and light to what is happening, to the lenses that are going on in your life. And there are ways to repattern your subconscious, okay? Your subconscious is the thing that's unconscious, right? It's the part of you that you don't see. That's the part that's driving most of your sense of self. That's the part that's driving most of your decisions, all right? We can actually use our conscious mind to speak down into the subconscious and change what's real for us, okay? So for some of you, it might seem scary to hear that your mind is lying to you, right? Maybe you don't believe me, but if you believe me, that can be scary for some people. It's like, wait a second, like, how am I delusional? What's going on here? But I hope that this is also exciting because this is the explanation for what's been wrong all these years. For all the parts of yourself that you don't like, for all the times you've procrastinated and not done what you wanted to do, for all the times that you've not stepped into who you most want to be, this is why, and this is how you fix it, okay? Your limits are literally dragons made of smoke. They're made of smoke. Punch them in the face, they go away. They're not real. You're only holding yourself back. Nobody's holding you back. So you now have a tangible way to become the next version of yourself instantly and without willpower, okay? So willpower still is awesome. There's nothing wrong with that. But in the moment that you're going in to make a sales call, and you hear yourself going, this is going to suck, or I don't want to do this, or whatever, and instead you decide to say to yourself, you know what, I love making sales calls. This is going to be really fun. You are evolved in that moment. Your reality changed right there. It's instant. And it's just that little. Walking back to your room going, I don't know that that was great. I don't know that I got a lot of value. Instead, holy shit, I love the sunset. This is beautiful. Right? Wake up to the negative talk that's going on for you, and you've shifted your identity. Right in that moment. So once we wake up and learn to manage these, this shapes our self-concept, this shapes our whole reality, and it shapes all the results. Right? I like to talk about like 1 degree of change here, this little teeny thing. If you're leaving New York in a boat, and headed for Europe, right? This one little change. How big is that change by the time you get over to Europe, right? It's this huge difference over time. What if you're making these little iterations in your thinking all the time? What if you're making these more positive assessments of yourself and the world and what's possible constantly? Do you have to do it perfectly? No. Go take a day, be bitchy and wallow and whatever you want to do. I don't care, right? But then once you know this, you'll go, man, that's not useful. Let me wake back up. Let me come back to this. So we need to wake up, guys. We need to wake up. And it starts with you. It starts with you right now. You no longer get the option of, I don't know this stuff. So there you go, right? This little shift is literally an evolution in our consciousness. It literally is an evolution in who we are as human beings. And this little shift changes the world, without question. I can argue it out on a napkin in 5 minutes and prove it. This is the change. So what have we learned so far? Let's go back through it, because there was a lot here. There really was a lot. Number one, humans are wrong, often. And we're in the middle of our evolution, right? We're not done yet, guys. We don't know everything yet. We have to wake up to more things. We have to figure out a lot as we go. So let's not get all cocky that we're so much smarter than they used to be. Yeah, the next people are going to be a whole lot smarter than us, right? So let's open to what's possible and what we can change. You are not your hand. You are consciousness itself. You are the act of watching. You are the act of seeing sunsets and this and that, right? You are consciousness itself. And by the way, everything can be us. We can decide that. The you that you think you are is a construction, so let's mess around with it. Let's not stay stuck in, I'm this thing. No, dude. Really, you don't get it. I'm a loser. I lose all the time. No, I lost in 88. I lost in 92. I lost at basketball. I lost all my money. I'm a loser. Do we want to be solidified in that, or do we want to be capable of the change that allows us to become what we want to be, to do the things that we know we should be doing? To change is to shift your identity, right? It's to take on new habits in a way that they actually just feel like you. They are you. We are swimming in meaning, making up meaning all the time, so please master that. Please master your own meaning making. Take the reins, stop being a victim, and own that process. Lenses alter our meaning, so we want to see our lenses. We've got to become aware of these. The fundamental shift is backing up our attention onto how we see, editing our thinking. And we do that through just looking, challenging, and replacing. LCR, super simple. Does anybody not get this? Just look for what you're saying that's negative, challenge it, call bullshit, and then replace it with something more positive. And the last thing we learned is that goldfish use really foul language. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Wow. Thank you, guys. That's really, really special. Thank you so much for that. So raise your hand if you got a valuable idea. I promised you would get a valuable idea from this talk. Did anybody get more than one valuable idea? Awesome. So you are way more than you think. Your consciousness itself. You're creating yourself all the time. Create a really powerful you. Don't believe your bullshit. You can do all kinds of incredible things. 1 degree of change leads to a totally different future. Please shift your lenses. Hugs are greater than handshakes. They win in fights all the time. They're just way bigger. So if you guys want to come and meet me, I would love to get a hug. And if you guys don't like hugs, you can stay in touch in other ways. Please stay in touch. My website is Rob Scott, and Twitter, which I'm going to be more active on soon, is Rob_Scott. And if you want to know more about identity shifting, you can give me your information at identityshifting.com, and I'll tell you more about that soon. And thank you guys so much for your time. I love you guys. Thank you.